Blood and glitter, sweet and bitter, we're so happy we could die.
Hey Eurovision fam, it's Alesia Michelle. I'm so excited today because we're going to be interviewing Chris from Lord of the Lost. I'm just going to kick off before we hop into the questions and just say, I feel like this is almost bizarre because y'all are coming with the styling, you're coming with the fire, and it's like I feel like I'm getting to meet you like personal. And like I'm still living in the fantasy of that music video that I saw.
Yeah, I totally get it. But you know, for me, there's like being authentic means two things at the same time. A stage is a stage, and private life is private life. And although this here now is connected to me as a stage persona, I would feel weird, like, I don't know, wearing some kind of Halloween costume, sitting here in my living room and talking to you with makeup on and all that stuff. So a long time ago, I decided that I want to approach to our listeners, our fans, in both ways, so that they understand me as a stage persona and also can like me as a private person that I am. So I have nothing to hide, and you know, there's like zero makeup and really nothing. That's it.
Well, you know what? Same. Zero makeup. You know, I'm just coming here as my natural self.
And you look great.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Okay, let's hop into these questions. So, how did you meet all of your bandmates? What was the process like for that?
Let me take a sip of my Little Mermaid teacup first. So, I started this band a long time ago. I started writing songs as some kind of solo project back in 2007. And 2 years later, or in the process of these 2 years of songwriting, I realized that sorry, that's my mobile phone. I realized that I need a band to go on stage. So I just asked, like, within the circle of my friends, if someone wants to join the band. And then we had some changes within the first years, because we started off as a hobby band. We didn't have any, you know, we didn't plan anything. We just did music for fun, the music that we loved. And so when things got more serious and started to be more of a job, of course, then some things collide with the life expectations of some people, because they're like, I can't be a professional musician, I need to follow a different path. So then some things changed, and for 7 years now we have a super stable lineup. Is that a right word, lineup, like band lineup? And yeah, they're all friends of mine. I met them at different places, but we never casted anyone like professionally. It was always just people that were close to me or close to us. And yeah, that's the most important thing, because those four guys, they're not just my bandmates or colleagues, they're my best friends. And I think this is what makes us very strong as a band.
Do you remember your first ever, and this might not even be with the lineup, maybe it was even when you were a kid, but do you remember your first ever live performance?
Yes, it must have been in kindergarten on the cello. I'm a classical cello player since I'm 5. And I must have been 5 or 6 or something, and there was some, I don't know, evening for the parents, or like afternoon probably, and I might have played some weird kids song, kids melody, I don't know, on the cello, but yeah, I remember that. I loved it.
What inspired your song? Did you write it thinking, oh, hey, maybe we'll have the opportunity to possibly represent Germany? Yeah, what was the ethos for your song?
No, I'm just looking if I have it here. There's two things that inspired me. I don't have it here right now. There's a book by the music photographer Mick Rock that died 2 years ago, who was a photographer of like most of the musicians in the early 70s, mainly in England, like David Bowie, Debbie Harry, Queen, the Stooges, all these artists. And so he was making this photo book that represents this early real glam rock era from the early 70s, and that book was called Blood and Glitter. And I got this book like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and I found it so inspiring already back then, and I felt like, man, why not just like, yeah, take this title and kind of breathe it into life. Like, not that it's not alive anymore, but the glam rock era is kind of, it's so long ago, and it was so inspiring to take that title. And when I wrote that song, I started writing with a friend of mine from another band, another German band. We were like, let's write a song. And I told him about the idea. And he said to me, it was like way before we even thought of like putting that song into the Eurovision contest thing. But we just thought that, how would that song look like on a big stage, like the Eurovision stage? So we wrote that song always with the visuals in our head. Like, we start off with just the voice and the piano, me an array of light, and then hell breaks loose, and then you go down to the first verse, and it's a little dancey and blah blah blah, all the things. So it's so funny that actually this song, where we were like trying to imagine it on a stage like Eurovision, not necessarily Eurovision, but something like that, MTV Music Awards, whatever, became that song. So, yeah.
Do you have like a first Eurovision memory, like something of Eurovision that you're like, oh, I remember like this moment watching the song contest?
Yeah, I remember like many moments of me being being a kid or even a toddler, maybe, just like because we watched it with my parents every time. When it still was called like Grand Prix Eurovision and so on, and yeah, so I'm 43 years already, so I've seen many of them, so I'm a little older than most of the other singers from the other artists in Germany this year, and but since I was a kid, I don't remember one single artist. So and then I moved out from home when I was 20. So for a couple of years, Eurovision wasn't cool, but nothing wasn't cool back then for a while. So and then I kind of came back with Lordi in 2006, I think, from Finland, and this was like, oh wow, what the hell? And in the early 2000s, Eurovision has changed a lot. So there was way less Schlager music, and especially from Germany, and way more pop and electro acts, and like the visuals were getting stronger and stronger. And yeah, then I kind of got hooked again, and since then I'm following that every year. And we tried to be part of it with Lord of Lost for many years. We always like just filled out the application, and yeah, this year it worked.
Shifting gears a little bit, what song other than your own songs is currently stuck in your head?
You know what I'm doing right now? I just did it like until 1 hour ago, and I will continue doing it tomorrow. Me and my keyboard player on the piano, we are covering all of the songs of all German contestants and putting them online day by day. 2 are already online, because to kind of, I don't know, it's a sign of respect to the others, and it's interesting to kind of dive into it and see how much you can feel it. So right now it would be Hold On by Will Church, because it was the one I just sung like an hour ago. But in general terms, it would be Once Upon a Dream by Anita Russo, because it's like, just from my personal taste, which no matter how professionally I try to value things, of course, like, personal taste always wins in terms of what you like most. It's the one that's closest to me. This dark pop mixed with this weird James Bond soundtrack kind of thing going on there. I love it a lot.
When you were a kid, what was an artist that maybe you really looked up to, idolized at all? Yeah, what did you listen to as a kid?
When we're talking about Eurovision for a moment here, it would be ABBA. This was like one of the things in the vinyl collection of my parents. But the biggest band for me always was, still is, and always will be Roxette. It was my first ever record. It was my first concert. I even have the date of the concert tattooed here. It was the 24th of October 1994. And yeah, they were the reason why I started wearing nail polish in school, or eyeliner, because he did that. I didn't even know that there was something like gothic back then. I didn't grow up with alternative music. I grew up with pop music. I got into metal and alternative music later when I was 18 or something. It's 16, 17 maybe. So I started like wearing eyeliner at school with 13, 14 years back then already because of him, of Per Gessle from Roxette. And I started to make my hair platinum blonde and wear like sequin things on stage because of her. And yeah, it's still the band that I love most, I think.
What's a language do you like the sound of, even though you maybe don't know how to speak it?
I just a couple days ago, I watched many videos about the autonomy of, is it Swahili language with all these clicking things? And I was like, wow. Because I saw one person in some documentary about different African countries, and some of those people were interviewed in that language, and I was like, I need to know how to write it. I want to know what those things mean, if it's part of the alphabet or if like it's like different sounds have like, I don't know, different meanings or whatever. So I really got hooked into that and ended up like on a 4-hour YouTube marathon about click noise languages. Not don't mean it disrespectfully, but like to describe it like that. And I think that's a language it's so fascinating. And I'd love to speak that. I tried, but me with my German way of forming syllables and stuff, like it was impossible for me to do it.
Oh, that's really cool. I was actually watching, as mundane as it seems, the Real Housewives of Durban. So in South Africa, and like 2 of the women are like Zulu. And so you'll hear them talking.
It was Zulu. It wasn't Swahili. Yeah, it was Zulu. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right,
and
right.
so they're talking, and then you hear the clicks like in the midst of them speaking, and I'm like listening, like, hold on real quick, and they're like, I'm like, hold on, how did you say the thing? And the click is coming like while you're saying the thing. I'm like, I can't figure it.
Yeah, and sometimes like some of these clicks are very hard, really, like, and there's different, like some in the front, some in the back, some like, it was fascinating.
No, so cosign on that. What is the biggest lie that someone has told you?
I think I have one. I just needed to check the English word for it. I found 3. It's catkin or pussy willow or willow catkin, willow cotton. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so my mother told me, when you take these things, and like for the Germans that are watching, it's Weidenkätzchen. Those little furry things, if you put them, I don't know, if you keep them warm somehow, like little cats will come out of them. So I put them on the heating, and I don't know, like in my bed and under some pillows, and nothing ever happened. I never got a cat out of them. So yeah, no kitties out of catkins. Well, that's an interesting word. I never, pussy willow. Great. It sounds like, I don't know, pussy willow could also be like the name of a porn star, maybe. Yeah,
I think it actually might already be. I'm sure some stripper down here in Alabama has figured out that, like, that's the name.
Yeah.
What is the most useless thing you ever learned in school?
I think if I would still go to school, I would tell you differently, because with some things I discovered later that I actually need them, like math. In school, I thought like I will never ever need that again. Wow, it's that's really hard to say, because I'm the kind of kid that I didn't understand anything like really good, like math, because it was the only thing that was hard for me. But I really enjoyed school, so it's really hard to find something useless. But maybe, yeah, I know what. I was told by many teachers that I'm asking too many questions, and they asked me to shut up and told me that I have to learn to shut up in some moments. And I could totally understand that when I like was disturbing and was like doing bullshit, being the class clown and stuff. But telling me to shut up when I really had something to discuss, where I could learn something, maybe the rest of the class as well, might be the useless thing someone told.
I completely agree with that. I too was that child. All right. I'm curious about your answer to this, especially because you are a little bit older. Or like the young people, it's like I can almost predict the answer that they give. But what is your favorite social media platform?
Like I'm the kind of person, and my fans already know that it's super hard for me to pick favorites. It's really super hard because I have different paradigms on these things. I think in terms, let me evaluate this in terms of respect, and the most the least disrespectful platform for me right now with the friendliest, the most friendly comments and stuff is Instagram, because it's a to-go app mainly. Of course you can use it on your desktop, but most people use it just on their phone. So on the phone they're too lazy to write like long hate speeches and stuff. YouTube, really bad. Facebook can be really bad because people sitting at home being frustrated or getting all those bullshit out of them. So I think it might be Instagram, because it's like people just, like hateful people don't take their time to put their stuff in there. And I'm all about empathy and being nice and about respect. And even if I don't like things, and even if I really hate something personally, I'm trying, not always succeeding, but I'm trying to find a way to let the other person know that in a respectful manner. And this is why social media kind of feels like it's sickening me. It's poisoning my brain by all this hatred, all this hatred. So I think it's gonna be Instagram, just valued in terms of hate.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer some of these burning questions for folks. And of course, we're all going to be rooting for you. You've got y'all are one of the front runners for Germany's national selection. And people are so excited about Germany's national selection this year. So we are looking forward to all that stage show is going to offer us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. It was really interesting questions, different questions. I like that.
Well, I will say there's a question that I ask everyone that I did not ask you, because basically you're already doing it. And what I was going to say was, if you could steal any one of the competitors at Unser Lied for Liverpool, one of their songs, and kind of put the Lord of the Lost, like, spin on it, but you're already covering everyone's song.
yeah, but if I would have to choose one and really like go to Liverpool with it, it still would be the song of Anita Russo, because it's the one I feel the most.
Well, dope. Thank you so much.
Thank you.